Hey guys, welcome to Cosmic Road. Thanks for joining us or joining me. It's a beautiful day here in Texas, but I had to get up and report on this really great article by Matt Laszlo. Excuse me, Christopher Sharp from Liberation Times. Let me know if you can see that. I'm still playing with the StreamYards. I think StreamYards is really cool. I haven't been able to figure out how to get it to share the audio though, so I can't really like share videos with audio very easily yet, but I'm still working on it. But yeah, let me know if you can see that. Can you see that sharing the screen? Let me see. Okay, awesome. Thank you, NeoCal. All right. It's small. Yeah, it's a little window. I don't know how to enlarge this window. Um, yeah, not either. There's probably a way to enlarge this window. I don't know. But okay, yeah, but it's a really cool article. All right, so check it out. So we've been wondering what the deal is with the Mike Turner situation, right? He's saying we should declassify, these documents related to national security. And there's been a lot of speculation what that was all about. Is it, Russian nukes in space? Is it Iran? Is it China? Is it aliens? What's going on? Well, Christopher Sharp is saying there is indeed a UFO angle to all this. So let's talk about it. Future of Representative. Yeah, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, future of Representative Turner in question after a rare public statement on national security threat, later deemed underwhelming amid continued dismissal of UFOs despite growing alarm within Congress. Liberation Times has learned that House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner's recent bizarre public push for declassifying a serious national security threat became entangled with a concerning briefing on UAP. On February 14th, Republican members of Congress were briefed by Lou Elizondo, the former director of a government program focused on UAP. Sources have revealed to Liberation Times that Elizondo was joined by a former member of the UAP task force and decorated uniformed military officer, a former military fighter pilot, an eyewitness to a UAP sighting, a former DARPA scientist, that's interesting, and a former political advisor within the Obama administration. Obviously, my mind goes to Podesta, right? Who were some of these other guys? We're talking about Commander David Fravor. We're talking about, Ryan Graves, the former military fighter pilot and eyewitness. I don't know. Let me know who you think that is. Sources close to Liberation Times revealed that attendees left the session deeply concerned about the inability to openly discuss the national security implications of UAP within the government due to classification constraints. In the aftermath of the briefing, Liberation Times has been informed that an impression was left that members present at the meeting wished to declassify information related to UAP, enabling national security discussions regarding the phenomenon to occur within the government and its allies. Lou Elizondo has not publicly commented on the meeting, nor has he provided comment to Liberation Times. Journalist Matt Laszlo reported on the briefing led by Elizondo, speaking with Representative Ralph Norman, who was in attendance. And he said some interesting things. And I would love to share the clip of that, the audio from that, but I haven't figured out how to share audio on StreamYard yet. But he said, we've got a real problem. This isn't Playland. Dun, dun, dun. He added, my God, this isn't political. This isn't politics. For you young people, of course, this affects all of us, young and old. But it's interesting. He kind of highlighted the young people, right? Why? Is this some, emerging thing that's going to, affect people in the future? Or is this, why highlight young people? I don't quite get that. But he also went on to say it's been portrayed by the media as crazies that are identifying UFOs, but it's not. He also confirmed that Elizondo corroborated information provided by senior intelligence official Dave Grush, who has alleged the existence of potentially illegal programs to retrieve and reverse engineer craft of non-human origin. On the same day, and this is where it gets interesting. Okay. So on the same day as Elizondo's briefing, Mike Turner made a remarkable public statement about a serious national security threat, which his committee made available to members of Congress. Turner called on President Biden to declassify the threat, which was unspecified at the time, so that Congress, the administration, the U.S. allies could discuss actions to respond to it. So is that UFO related? I mean, it sounds like Christopher Sharp is suggesting that this is UFO related. That Mike Turner that may have been in the briefing or privy to what was in the briefing with Elizondo, and and pushed this, which is interesting because of course Mike Turner is the one that stood in the way of the Schumer Rounds amendment and neutered it, right? So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. The House Intelligence Committee voted the previous day to make the intelligence available to all House members. On the 14th, Turner made a public statement about the apparent threat despite opposition from his vice chair, Jim Himes. Some congressional members are understood to have felt underwhelmed after being briefed, as opposed to briefings related to UAP, including the one held by Elizondo the same day, which has led to growing alarm. According to sources familiar with the matter, the wording of Turner's public statement coincidentally and ironically mirrored the sentiments conveyed by individuals who had received the briefing from Elizondo the same day, an issue which has been ignored and dismissed by Turner and Himes. So, ironically mirroring the statements conveyed by individuals who had received the briefing. I would love to see what he means by that specifically. And if you know what he's talking about, let me know. The threat reference, maybe he'll go into it further. I want to give you my quick take on all this, my raw take, so I haven't read the full article. The threat referenced by Turner was later revealed by multiple sources to relate to a Russian anti-satellite capability, which the House has since cautioned is not yet active and poses no current threat. Turner's revelation on the existence of such a threat has been met with anger, even amongst his Republican colleagues. In a letter written to House Speaker Mike Johnson, Andy Ogles wrote, "The revelation by the chairman was done with a reckless disregard of the implications and consequences said information would have on geopolitics. In hindsight, it has become clear that the intent was not to ensure additional funding for Ukraine and passage of unreformed Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Multiple sources previously informed Liberation Times that Turner led resistance to legislation from the Schumer Rounds Amendment. Blah, blah, blah. The puzzling decision to allude to a national security threat, coupled with the briefing provided to Congress and efforts to dismiss alarming concerns about UAP, raises serious questions about Turner's leadership of the House Intelligence Committee. Such actions may have lasting repercussions to national security and public's trust in Congress." So was it all, just to, throw a smokescreen on the briefing by Lou Elizondo or to mock it in some way? Is that what Chris Sharp is suggesting here? That seems to be the vibe I'm getting. What about you guys? Is that what Chris is all about? Concerns about Turner's agenda have resurfaced following his recent statements regarding the apparent Russian space-based threat. Journalist Tom Rogan noted, Turner is renowned in Congress and by Washington lobbyists. The CGCN group as one of his top donors for his securing of patronage for business interest in his district. And these interests would appear to be well placed to benefit from Turner's disclosure of the new Russian system. The defense firms Leidos, Lockheed Martin, L3 Harris, and Northrop Grumman are all top donors to Turner in the 2024 election cycle. Following Turner's public comments, his vice chair Himes conceded that the House Intelligence Committee, which voted to brief Congress on the threat, was not in the good graces of Jake Sullivan. Himes also remarked that intelligence may have been exposed. So, really intriguing situation there. I don't know what was going on with old Mike Turner there. Is he? Yeah, I mean, Christopher Sharp is saying his wording was ironic and, maybe even making a mockery of the statements made by those who attended the briefing. So is this all, just a bunch of BS by Mike Turner to distract or diminish the contents of Lou Elizondo's briefing, while at the same time advancing his, political or financial interests? Is that what's going on? But why make such a big, bold public statement to declassify these national security documents? It's a weird move. I don't get it. I really don't quite understand what was going on there. A lot of people think it's Russia, and they're sending nukes into space or having some sort of anti-satellite capability. Now I don't know if it's not nukes. Could those be lasers or something like that? Weaponizing space in a way that we haven't seen before. Is that what's going on? If Russia has that sort of technology, I don't know if that would help them in Ukraine or not. But it is a strange situation. It's a strange situation. If you guys have any insight into that whole thing, let me know, because it's just so weird. Haley says, I was thinking the Turner statement on Wednesday was interesting timing with Lou's presentation. Look over. Yeah, exactly. Right. Hey, everyone, look over here at this threat and not at the UAP stuff. No, exactly. Oki says, I don't know if this is a new scare tactic, but the new thing is apparently if too many people on Earth are aware of other dimensions and beings, then our reality might bleed together. If we like changed our consciousness or enough that the bleed through would happen. Is that like a negative spin on the ascending to the fifth dimension? That's the idea, right? The rapture, the age of Aquarius, ascending to the fifth dimension, where our vibes are raised, and we do connect with these other dimensions, these higher planes of existence, and this higher level of consciousness that many people think is more or less imminent. That's going to occur in the next 10 years or so, right along the same time frame that we see with UFO disclosure in group contact. Yeah, I don't know, but so you're thinking maybe there's like a negative spin on that? I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on that. Let's see. No one really says, I finally have time to show you something with regards to your dragon UFO friend. Okay, cool. 2 observatories in Europe see them everywhere and have shared their camera settings. Intriguing. If you can like drop a link to that, that'd be badass. Yeah. Did any of you guys send anything to Robert the other day during the Super Bowl? Yeah, he was asking people to video the dragons or to video the helicopters and the planes overhead to see if anybody could spot a dragon and then send it his way. Did any of you guys catch a dragon on camera? I'd be really curious to see what you guys came up with, if you did. Dave said Turner was feeling the heat from the Soul video drops, the Super Bowl ET commercials in the February 14th Elizondo, and was looking for a scapegoat like Russian EMP weapons. Okay, so EMP, you're thinking. Akin to a false flag. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it seems like, right, Dave? I'm with you. I think that's probably what we're looking at. And also, apparently, it may have advanced his interest or the interest of some of his donors, right? So is that, what is that? Is that just corruption, basically? But if it's corruption, that's just such public corruption, making this big public statement about national security threat. I mean, it's a weird move. It's a weird move. Ralph says observer effect, as we know from the double slit, causes state changes. Yeah, man, the double slit experiments are like some of my favorite all-time experiments. And not just that the observer affects the outcome, but that beam of light that you're affecting was generated like millions of years ago, right? From the star that it came from. So not only are you changing the outcome in real time, you're actually changing the outcome of something that happened millions of years ago. Those are the implications of the double slit experiment. It's crazy. Love it. Love it. Let's see. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that. He says, yo, yo, keep fighting the good fight. Let's see. Stefan says, one thing's for sure, Jack is one of the good beings. I'm some sort of being, but thank you. I appreciate that, Stefan. RKT. Okay, W Decker. Oh, thank you so much, W Decker. I appreciate that. Do you have a comment? Yeah, just to let you know, if you leave a super thanks or a super chat, whatever it's called, I will see your comment right away. So just motivation for leaving a super chat or a super thanks. But it's big and highlighted. You can see it right here on my shared screen. So if you have a comment that's pressing and you really want me to get to it, that's an easy way for me to see your comment, even if it's just like a buck or two. Let's see. Where was I? RKT says, what are your thoughts on what Werner von Braun or von Braun or Brown, however you say his name, said regarding about weaponizing space as the goal of the U.S. government? Yeah, he did. He was basically talking about, Project Blue Beam, or that whole narrative, the false alien invasion, the false alien threat. He was saying that that's where things would be going. Could we be seeing that? I mean, that's certainly what a lot of people think. But that narrative, that idea has been around for a long time. I mean, von Braun was talking about that in the 70s. When did he pass away? And, it hadn't happened yet. That idea has been around forever and it hasn't happened yet. And also, as Mike Carrera was saying, they don't need to do that. If the idea is to, have a false alien narrative so they can seize control, they're already in control, guys. I mean, they kicked out Harry Reid. They kicked out Tom Wilson. They can kick out people at the highest levels of the government. They decide what the president knows and doesn't know. They control the black budget, secret military stuff that nobody even knows about. I mean, they control all the levers of power that they want to control. I don't think they need to seize control, but I guess you could say that if disclosure threatened their agenda, then they may trot out the alien invasion false threat. I think that is probably something they have planned. I think that is a contingency plan of theirs. And I think that's what Werner von Braun was alluding to. I mean, maybe he thought it was imminent, but I think that it is a last ditch contingency plan. If we do get eminent domain of these UFO materials, I think that it is something they would consider. Last ditch effort to seize power or maintain control. That's where my mind goes as far as the false alien agenda goes. It hadn't panned out so far, but I do think it's probably a contingency plan. So yeah, but let me know what your thoughts on that are. Ralph says, Jack just seems like he is trying to figure it out with, and here is the key part, minimal amount of ego. Oh, me. Okay. I thought we were talking about Mike Turner, and I was like, okay. But thank you, Ralph. I appreciate that. Oki says, I'm not buying that no aliens come from other galaxies in our universe, right? Oh, yeah, they definitely seem to come from other galaxies from my research, and different planes of existence, different dimensions. Yeah, they don't just come from, our galaxy or our solar system, but at the same time, some of these beings seem to come from right here. They may have been here longer than we have. They may have created us, or we could have been created by outside forces as well. But there do seem to be presences that have probably always been here, or at least as far back as we can determine. But let's see. I wanted to. I saw that Bigfoot was trending today, and there's a new Bigfoot video. I can't show you. I don't think this is gonna share the sound. But check this out. Tell me if you can hear that sound at all, because they're gonna start firing guns in a second. And yeah, and then a Bigfoot appears. Okay, I'm just gonna fast forward it to the Bigfoot. It comes in the background right there. It's harder to see when it's in just regular time. Oh yeah, there we go. You can kind of see it. You can, okay, yeah, I think it was right there. Okay, and let's see. All right, but let's do the slowed down version of it. They just fired a gun. Okay, there, and they're going to slow down several times for us. And is that just some squatter that got scared by their shots, or is that a Bigfoot? And he's running like a man. He's running like a man. He's not running like Patty runs or walked. If you, of course, are all familiar with Patty, the Gimlin Patterson uh, Bigfoot video. Here's the stabilized version of it. Our best Bigfoot video yet. I mean, a lot of people think that's fake or it's been debunked, but I mean, she's got like sores on her legs, bald patches on her arms, her muscles in her legs flex when she walks. I'm pretty sure that's legit, but let me know your temperature on that. And there was a great Bigfoot. Let's see, yeah, that guy. I don't know if that's real or not, but that's what I kind of imagine Bigfoot looks like. I think it's too good to be true as far as like a real Bigfoot photo, but I think that's kind of more or less what they look like. But I think they also come in different varieties all over the world, and they're like aliens or hybrids or something. They're not like just some lost primate. But yeah, let me know what you think about that new Bigfoot video with that Bigfoot running in the background. I was really surprised when I went on Twitter and I saw Bigfoot was trending, and yeah, it's a pretty good video. Pretty good video. Alan says it's a money move. Yeah, as far as Mike Turner goes, absolutely. He seems to be trying to do what's in the best interest of his donors, right? Not his constituents, but his donors. But it is weird that he would do that so publicly. That's what's so weird about the Mike Turner announcement. But yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. Ralph says, imagine bleed over causing. Yeah. We talked about that. And Sadok says, Oki trades. They is it trades Trades? Let me know how you say your name. It doesn't have to come from another galaxy. Maybe from the Milky Way, just another star system. Oh, sure. I'm sure the Milky Way is teeming with life. I'm sure they're all over our galaxy. Absolutely. But some likely are coming from far away. If these beings travel by going through dimensions, because that's one idea that's out there, not simply that they're coming from another dimension, but they use the dimensions to pop in and out of our reality as a way of getting from A to B. They can go, instead of going the long way, they can pop into the next dimension and then pop out again very quickly. So distance, if that's true, is no obstacle to these guys. So I fully believe that we're getting visitors from outside the Milky Way in addition to the ones already here. But let me know what you guys think. Francis Tremblay says, why aren't we hearing about John D'Souza anymore? Has John made any? Well, what's John up to these days? I like John. I haven't been hearing a whole lot about him lately. I think he did a video not too long back. I can't remember an interview. Oki says, yeah, that too, but the new narrative is that they only come from other dimensions, all of a sudden per grush. Oh, thank you so much, Salto de Puma. I really appreciate that. Salto gifted 5 Cosmic Road memberships. Awesome, man. I appreciate that. It's awesome. Do you have a question? I'll get to your question right away if I see it. Let's see. Ralph says, which is why there are very strange isotope and frequency differences in samples from alleged crashes. Yeah, if they were coming from very far away. Absolutely. Oki says, I think if there was a fake alien invasion, there would be a move made to create a one world government, etc., headed by USA. I'm sure. Yeah, probably, probably. Yeah, that would be the goal. I would have no doubt of that. Ralph says, of course, there are other beings in our iteration, but for some of them, interdimensional migration is probably normal. Yeah. Like us discovering islands and evolving there for a bit. Yeah. And if some of these beings are by their very natures interdimensional, obviously that you would think they could come and go at will. And it's just so weird if they are like naturally 5D, then maybe only part of them would show up here, or I don't know how. It's hard to even conceptualize that, but that's what some people are saying. And the holographic principle that David Grush talks about, and yeah, that's such a fascinating idea. But there is a lot of evidence to suggest that beings can actually come here from other dimensions and materialize somehow in this reality. And now, when you talk about dimensions, it's kind of helpful to clarify dimensions and densities. Some people think they're different words for the same thing. I conceptualize it differently. I think that dimensions uh, refers to something in our reality. Just we can't interact with those dimensions, right? There's the 1D, and then there's the 2D, and then there's the 3D. Making a 3D shape. But then you add more and more lines to that, and you get 4D and 5D and whatever. But it's all occupying the same space, right? The same reality. It's just that we can't perceive those other dimensions. But if there are other realities or states of being, then that's what I think of as densities. But there's the law of one and the books of Seth, and different thoughts, ways of thought have different words for that. But that's my take on it: is that densities and dimensions aren't mutually exclusive; that they both exist. But dimensions, and I'm not consistent in how I refer to them. So I'll say dimension sometimes, meaning density, just because that's what I've always thought of them. How I've always thought of them. Nurse Diesel says, "Are you going to cover the MUFON International meeting live down in your neck of the woods? When is the MUFON International meeting? Let me know." We actually had our MUFON meeting yesterday in our neck of the woods, our local MUFON chapter. I am the new director of the chapter. I was voted in as the director. However, on the same day that I was voted in as director of the new chapter, we voted to leave MUFON. So we're no longer a MUFON chapter. We haven't even come up with the name yet. The Brazos Valley UFO and Paranormal Group, or something like that. But we're all still MUFON members, I think. Let's see. Sadok says, "Did you hear that in 2027 aliens will reveal themselves?" Absolutely. Well, John Ramirez is saying 2026. There is some debate on what Chris Bledsoe's lady meant when she gave him the configuration, the star rising over whatever. Some people think it refers to 2026. Some say it's 2027. I don't know why there's a debate about that, and you would think that would be easy to figure out, but apparently there is some debate about that. Some saying one and some saying the other. And there is actually a range of predictions, and some people saying they know when this is going to happen. I've heard we could get mass contact this year. I was listening to a near-death experiencer the other day, and the information she was getting from the other side was there was going to be a big event this year. So, we'll see. Big if true, right? Big if true. But the repeated story is that 2027 is going to be juicy. Maybe 2026, maybe earlier, but somewhere, at least in the next 10 years, let's say, to be generous, could be really game changing, and it could, game changing in the most literal sense. It could change the world. I'm not going to make any predictions. Who knows? There have been so many predictions. People have been predicting this for so long. I hate to, and it never comes true, but maybe it will this time. Maybe it will this time. Hal Run 3R says, is there any connection between the phenomenon and the afterlife that has any credence? Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. Because 1/3 of all, or to get the percentage 100% correct, is 30%. 30% of all alien abductees are near-death experiencers. People who have died, their hearts have stopped, they're brain dead. There's no brain activity, no neural activity at all in their brains. But they go to the other side. They have these experiences, and then they come back. And some of them are dead for an extended period of time. Some of them are dead for an hour or more. They should be vegetables when they come back, but they're not. And yeah, so out of that demographic, a lot of them are alien abductees. So there's a huge crossover between the spiritual or metaphysical or consciousness stuff and the alien stuff. And there's a lot of poltergeist activity that surrounds alien events or UFO events. And, people will be abducted and they'll see dead people, spirits or beings aboard the UFOs. And people have seen, Nikola Tesla and Einstein still working on stuff, still doing sciencey stuff or physicsy stuff aboard UFOs. It's really weird. Although they'll see loved ones and stuff. It's some of those loved ones, are probably screen memories or false images to make them comfortable. Some of them may be real. It's really hard to say. Some of them seem very authentic, but it's hard to say about that. But when you're seeing somebody you don't know, like Nikola Tesla or Einstein, that to me that's more authentic because you wouldn't normally go there. I don't think in your thinking. And maybe those guys were math majors or something, and that was where their mind went, and that's what they were shown. But anyway, but there is a huge metaphysical or spiritual, whatever term you want to use, connection with UFOs. And in my own experience, my own major UFO event was very metaphysical and very woo-woo. And you can check that out under my playlist. It's really cool, really neat experience. But it was very mystical. It was a very mystical UFO. Ralph says there was a Maine dogman story I find very intriguing where they were definitely intelligent, but still seem predatory. Interesting. I guess that's kind of like us, right? Intelligent, but predatory. But I don't want the dogmen preying on us, though. That doesn't sound good. Do you know what were they eating, Ralph? When you say they're predatory, were they, chasing rabbits? What were they chasing? The dogmen are fascinating. Dogmen, skinwalkers, werewolves, whatever they are. Some of them are like really terrifying accounts, right? Like the Jay Stratton story, where he went to Skinwalker Ranch and he had a hitchhiker, but his hitchhiker was a skinwalker or a werewolf, whatever. I mean, it presented as a werewolf, a two-legged wolf-like being with very malevolent and evil-looking. That would, it would be outside in the garden, outside in their backyard. His family would be having breakfast or whatever, and they'd see it. And, his wife and kids would see it, and other people in their orbit would see it as well. It would even hitchhike onto other people, and it would like skip people. It was weird. It was like, person A would have the experience, and then the person they were connected with, B, would not have the experience, but a person they were interacting with, C, would have the experience. It's this weird, virus model of, the paranormal or the alien or consciousness. Well, whatever that dogman was, or skinwalker or werewolf was, very spooky stuff. And I don't think we have it confirmed that was Jay Stratton. That was Axelrod. This was reported in Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. And, he was called Axelrod. That was before Jay Stratton came out to the public. And so, but it seems pretty solid at this point that Axelrod is Jay Stratton. So crazy that the former leader of the UAP task force was haunted by a werewolf. I mean, that sounds so cheesy, but that's what happened. That's what happened. Skinwalker, whatever you want to call it. What are skinwalkers, guys? I mean, what are they? Are they literal skinwalkers? Are they evil shamans? I have had personal experience with the authenticity of shamanic abilities. There are real shamans that can do real stuff. So could there be evil shamans that do evil stuff like the skinwalkers? Even like changing shape or making us think they're changing shape. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm wondering if there could actually be skinwalkers. At first I thought it was just aliens or ghosts doing something spooky. But now I'm wondering if there could actually be actual skinwalkers. But then why are they posing as dogmen sometimes, right? Wearing trench coats, smoking cigarettes. What's that all about? The Vega Bond Tree. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I've been filming every plane, almost caught a helicopter, lots of sky footage. I have not had a chance to look through the videos, but if I find anything, I'll send it your way. Okay, cool. Yeah, and if you see any dragons, send them Robert Shipe's way. Ogie says Joe Rogan thinks Bigfoots are like clips from the past brought about from intense emotions by hunters seeing like a Neanderthal, etc., was there thousands of years ago. Yeah, I'm not buying that because sometimes they will interact with people, right? Apparently, like for example, they love gifts. If you leave them a gift, they will take it. And also there's a lot of poltergeist activity associated sometimes with Bigfoot encounters. Talking about how it's all connected, right? Bigfoot is sometimes seen aboard UFOs. He's seen interacting with beings, right? Bigfoot isn't just some primate or an echo of a Neanderthal. It's a being. They are beings, and they're connected with aliens in some way. I'm thinking they're probably a hybrid of some sort. If aliens created us, if beings created us, could they also have created Bigfoot? And if we have some sort of shared DNA with Bigfoot, which seems to be the case per David Paulides, he sent some DNA off to a crime lab because he is a former police officer, and it was half human. So does that mean at a certain point we had a common ancestor? Or does that maybe mean that the beings that created us use some of the same DNA in both creations? And that may also be why you're seeing DNA pop up in the Nazca mummies to varying amounts. Some of them have more, some of them have less. That's my going theory, guys. That's my going theory. But let me know what your thoughts are. But yes, I would disagree with Joe on that. But it's an interesting thought. I do think there are echoes and paranormal echoes and metaphysical echoes. So I don't doubt that kind of thing. Ralph says if any and all permutations of a universe exist and are tumbling through a multidimensional washing machine, of course there will be bleed over. Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see it. Oh, guys, and I can see that comment was at 2:35. And it's now 2:53. So I'm like way behind your comments. If you want me to see your comment right away, leave a super chat or a super thanks because it'll pop up right away, even if it's just like $1. Then I'll see your comment immediately because I don't want to miss anybody's comment, but I know I'm like way behind in the comments. So Alan says feral human could be. Ralph. Okay, Daniel says esoteric research is unraveling a lot of ancient history of this phenomenon. Yep. Cat Size says, I now believe that the beings may be from other galaxies, but they travel here through interdimensional technology. So they are likely extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial simultaneously. Absolutely. Yeah, we were just talking about that. And it's one idea that I've heard about why there's poltergeist activity associated with some UFO events is that when they're traveling through dimensions, They may be traveling through the dimensions, where the spirits are, where beings are, where we go when we die, potentially, or some beings go when they die. And so if these are ETs from our 3D reality that simply go through the dimensions as a way of getting there faster, when they pop out, there may be like a hole in the fabric of that dimension that spirits can come through, and from those other dimensions, and they may follow the UFO into our reality. And that may be why you get ghosty or poltergeisty activity associated with UFO events. It's a thought. It's a thought. I don't know. Oh, John Ramirez, how's it going? Putin said if he doesn't seize Ukraine, he will release all his weapons on USA, Britain, and other countries as well. Well, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, let's not have that. But we can't just like throw him in Ukraine either. But I don't know. That sounds really dire. That sounds dire. Ralph says, I have to say, while not impossible for the period, that suit would have been very well done and the walk probably rehearsed. Yeah, the Patty suit from the Gimlin footage, the Patterson footage, is like I mean, it's not even next level. It's like, I mean, Planet of the Apes was the level of their technology back when it was made, more or less, right? It was Planet of the Apes, the 60s, and the Patterson footage was the early 70s. What was the date on the Patterson footage? Anyway, but that was about their level. Go see the remake of King Kong with Jeff Bridges. I mean, that was Hollywood, ape suit. It was terrible. It was terrible. And so, yeah, I don't think that would have been possible for them to have done. There is a guy that claims, and I guess I'll just take myself off the share thing. There is a guy that claims to have worn the suit, and man, he's got that walk down. Yeah, and he is very convincing that he was able to walk like that because that's how he walks, and he knew those guys. It's totally conceivable that he could have dressed in that suit and walked in that way, but he was asked to recreate that, with the suit and everything, and he did. And the suit looked like crap, guys. It did not look anything like the actual video. So I think that was BS. Like I say in the Patterson video, there's a sore on the back of her leg. Her muscles flex as she walks, and it's a she. Do you really think back then they would have made it a female? Do you think that would have entered their minds? We're going to make a Bigfoot and we're going to make it female. And I don't think so. I think that's a Bigfoot, but that's just my thoughts. That's just my thoughts. I know a lot of people disagree. Oki says, you'd think we'd catch one with all the hunters these days. Yeah. Well, that's because the Bigfoots aren't like lost primates, right? They're not just some cousin of ours wandering around in the woods. They're paranormal or other dimensional or alien or whatever. The quantum Bigfoot. They're weird. Bigfoots are weird. They're not like us. They don't exist like we do. They're not limited to our 3D space, seemingly. Ralph says, cat's eyes, yeah, extra dimensional shapes beyond our perception, I would surmise, are able to provide shortcuts between distant points in a given galaxy by temporarily slipping through another. Yep, absolutely. Jake, not from State Farm, says, hi, Jack. Hi, Jake. How's it going, man? All right. Troy. Hey, Troy. It seems that the greater phenomenon has a precognitive ability, which makes me wonder if humans even have the ability to alter our future or if it's actually predetermined by the beings. Well, that's really fascinating. I wonder about that a lot too, and I kind of study that, what the beings have to say about that, especially that comes up in like near-death experiences. This idea that there are outcomes that are going to happen, but at the same time, we do have free will. it's this weird paradox where both seem to be true. It doesn't make any sense, Troy. It doesn't make any sense. But that is the information that you get from studying a lot of this stuff. Very Virgo says, what about the egg x-ray in the Nazca mummies? Oh, I love the egg x-ray, right? We've got a fetus. We don't just have bodies, we have pregnant bodies. We have at least a couple of pregnant beings in the Nazca mummies that have fetuses in them that can be studied by science. I mean, if anybody doubts the legitimacy of these things, I'm sorry. These things are legit. These are this is disclosure. It's really interesting because when I talk about the Nazca mummies, there's always somebody that says, "Well, that's very woo," right? I love the woo. I'm all about the woo, but to me, the Nazca mummies are the opposite of the woo. I mean, forget nuts and bolts, guys. We've got flesh and blood. We got bodies, y'all. We've got bodies. We don't need that. Uh, yeah, that's disclosure, guys. That's UFO disclosure. Even if they don't have ships, that is evidence of alien activity or non-human activity on Earth. I mean, they were non-humans. Some of them may have had some human genetics in them, but they were not human, guys. We don't look like that. We don't have eggs like that. We don't have hollow bones and things like the Nazca mummies do. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. But let's see. Ralph Ellis. That's a writer. That's a writer. Ralph says, if you want to see something amazing, I highly recommend checking out both the Herb Shermer case and then Lonnie Zamora. Absolutely, both great cases, classic cases, very, very solid UFO cases. I love it. And Cat's Eye says, typical Einstein-Rosen bridge. Yeah, and I'm missing. I mean, I'm not missing, but I'm going through your comments kind of slowly. Again, if you want me to see your comments right away, leave a super thanks or a super chat. It'll be highlighted, and I won't miss it. And also hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to talk about. Let's see. Chameleon says, do you know that Bigfoot is just Chuck Norris when he's not kept up with his body grooming for a couple weeks? Yeah, he's a hairy guy. He is, man. He really is. Love it. Bigfoot is Chuck Norris. I think we solved the case. Bigfoot's Chuck Norris. Jack Volcani says, hello. Hey, Jack Volcani. That's a cool name. Ralph Ellis says, my understanding is that the universes are discrete by frequency. Yes. These frequency differences cause a physiological harm via radiation when in non-native domains. Okay, that's very intriguing, Ralph. That's very intriguing. I like that. Graphic design for free. Hey, graphic design. I love graphic design. He's awesome. And he manages my Discord server. He's just really great. And thank you so much for getting me to do that and for taking care of that for me. And guys, everybody go find my Discord links. I don't think I put any links on this video, but go to any of my other videos. The recent videos will hopefully have the current Discord link because it changes every week and I have to update it every week. It's kind of a pain and sometimes I don't update it fast enough. I think I updated it within the last week. So, but fact check me on that and make sure it's working. But yeah, AI is a problem, guys. AI is a big problem. I mean, just the AI footage that we've seen in the last couple of days with the what is it, Sora? That's a problem, guys. I just showed you that Bigfoot footage. It won't be long before that can be totally faked with sound, right? Where do we go from here? How can we, we're going to have to, I mean, some people are saying metadata will, reveal the truth. But like on CGI footage, if CGI UFO videos, you just don't know. You just don't know. So, provenance is going to be really important. Witness testimony is going to be really important. But AI footage is going to be a major problem. As for AI overall, I have a buddy of mine that's very optimistic about AI. It's going to, crack fusion if we haven't already cracked fusion, which we might have already cracked fusion. There's, um, the idea that it can cure diseases, come up with cures for diseases and things like that. There's so much potential in AI to change the world, and he is very optimistic about that. And I hope that's what goes down, guys, because I don't think there's any stopping it. I don't think there's getting any getting off the AI train at this point. Choo choo, we are on that train. But I'm not as optimistic because the potential positives are really positive. But it only really takes one of the negatives to pan out for it to be really negative. And it only takes one bad AI to get access to our nuclear codes or whatever. I mean, theoretically, that should be impossible, but I mean, they're AI. I mean, they could build a robot and infiltrate this site. I don't know. Yeah, they could release another virus or whatever. God, the potential negatives for AI. If they saw us as a threat, are scary. I'm scared. I'm scared. I've seen Terminator too many times. I'm an 80s kid. I was born in 76. I was raised on Terminator, and I've seen those movies way too much to think that AI is a good idea. But hey, like I say, we are on that train, and there's no getting off. So maybe we just need to like work on manifesting the positive outcome, right? I haven't tried manifesting yet, but I've looked into it, and the research on manifesting is pretty good. You know, it's not like 100%, but the research on manifesting seems to be pretty encouraging. So maybe we all just need to manifest the reality that we want to have, which is the good train, right? The good AI train, where it cracks fusion and solves all sorts of problems, cures diseases. I love it. I think that the potentials are amazing. But yeah, also Terminators. So I don't know. First name, last name says the new world order is being formed now and will be obvious over time. Yeah, well, that is all too possible. First name, last name, all too possible. My take is we need to decentralize as much as possible, but that's getting political. Astro J says it's Jax all the way down. Ogie says, love talking aliens. None of my friends care about this stuff. I know, right? That's so lame. I have real life friends that just don't care. They are not interested. Oh, there's a UFO Disclosure Act. Who cares, right? And it's all hearsay or whatever, right? It's so frustrating. Well, so frustrating. Donut says, love from Scotland. I'm part Scottish. Love back to you, man. Cat's Eye says, agreed, even humans are four-dimensional patterns locked inside a 3D form. Okay, I like that. I like that. Salto says, Scotland into house. Love it. Into hoose. Nikki B says, I agree about your dimension theory, Jake. Oh, thank you, Nikki. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm the only one out there that I've seen that are like combining the ideas of densities and dimensions. But I could be wrong. There's probably others that are doing that. Cat's Eye says they could be coming to antidesitor. I don't know that word. Antidesitor space, where we live, from desitter space. I believe the Boltzmann brain that controls our universe lies in desitter space. Okay, I'm just gonna have to take your word for it because I don't know what that means. But fascinating thoughts. Why Mia? I can't see your name. I wonder what Lockheed Martin see. Yeah, watch me mispronounce names live, guys. That should be the tagline of the show. Why Mia Tox 87 says, I wonder what Lockheed Martin CEO was doing in Poland. Maybe gave instructions for upcoming disclosure. Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know much about that. Why was he in Poland? That's intriguing. Ralph says, hey, Jack, check out this detail between Herman Shermer's and Lonnie Zamora's case. In both cases, to interact with the beings, they were modified by devices and lights, which made them feel odd. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to remember what portion of those experiences that you're referring to. Yeah, you know, when I get on a live stream, my brain just kind of goes to mush, so it's not popping up. But if you can, like, oh, here we go. Ralph is following that up. Herb Shermer was touched by a round orb on a pencil shaped rod. Yeah, I remember that. And then felt weird, but was able to come aboard the being ship. And so you're suggesting that he needed to be touched by the rod or interacted with by the rod in order to like change his frequency or something so he could come aboard the ship. That's really fascinating. I like that idea. Totally possible. I can see that. Simon Zanin says scientists say that space and time are emerging variables from the quantum reality. Okay, cool. I like that. Let's see. Eru says, what really? Sean says, thank you, Shalto. Yeah, thank you, Shalto. That's awesome. Oval says, Jack, do you think some NHI have solely light beings without physical bodies? Absolutely. I think that, to get the technical word of the non-human intelligence, yes, I believe some beings are coming from outside of our dimension, and they may not be composed of matter like we are. They may be entirely light beings. I know people who have interacted with light beings. They weren't like white light; they were like rainbows and different colors and stuff, and really colorful, really cool beings. And my Reiki instructor said on that first occasion, which was a CE5 event, when people were interacting with these light beings, we were all sitting around in meditation, and people were interacting with these beings, right? I was leading the CE5, but I had asked my Reiki instructor to kick it off because she works with beings all the time, right? And I thought she could do a good job of, establishing a contact. And she did. And so we're sitting around in meditation. The sky is overcast. I'm not expecting any activity at all. I'm thinking this is going to be a bust as far as CE5 goes. And, after 20 minutes of meditating, I say, okay, everybody look at the sky, get your phones, see if, get your cameras ready. There's nothing. There's nothing. And then, we're all standing up and people are coming up to me telling me their stories, and they're interacting with these light beings all independently of each other. They're like out of body or half out of body experiences were these beautiful, colorful beings people were interacting with. None of them had any idea what the other people were seeing, or they were all coming up to me independently and telling me their stories. And they were all having very similar experiences. A couple of them were seeing ships in the sky, but they weren't like nuts and bolts, metal craft. They were, again, objects of light. One of them was like a barbell that pulsed, a very colorful rainbow, it'd be blue on one side and green on the other. And this lights and colors would pulse from one side to the other. And really cool stuff. And my Reiki instructor says those were the Reiki beings. She told me that afterward. These higher dimensional beings. So are those some of the beings of light that you're talking about? Or maybe they do have matter in some sense of the word, but it's just different from ours? Great questions, guys. I don't know. Shalto says, congrats, ex-director Jack. Yeah, that's right. Well, no. I am the director of our UFO group, but we have chosen to leave MUFON. We were having a lot of friction with some of the higher ups in our MUFON organization, and just a lot of headaches, and different people were having different problems with them, and we just decided to leave. And there's definitely some benefits to staying with MUFON, but it just wasn't worth the headache and the friction that we were having. Mike T says a 3D cube is made of an infinite amount of 2D squares, so maybe there are infinite amount of 3D realities inside a 4D universe. Well, that's fascinating. That's a fascinating thought. Totally possible. Something happening says, Jack, when are you going to talk about your own experience that you sometimes allude to? Well, you can listen to that anytime, guys. I have a playlist. I have a bunch of playlists, and go check those out. One of them are like UFO sightings. One's about the control group. Various things like that. And one of the playlists is called My Experiences, where I share some of my experiences. Because I just started having them a few years ago. I'm not like a lifetime experiencer or anything. I just stumbled into this stuff, and stuff started to happen. Once my, it was really more about, I think when I sought it out, it met me halfway. Just stuff started to happen for me. And I think it can be that way for anybody. And if it can happen to me, atheist, non-believer in UFOs or spirituality, if it can happen to me, it can happen for anybody, guys. But yeah, go check out my experiences, the playlist, my experiences, and go if you want to hear about my UFO encounter, go to my Jesus ayahuasca UFO. And no, I was not on ayahuasca when I saw the UFO. It was a month after the ayahuasca retreat, but it was a direct reference to an event that happened during the ayahuasca retreat. I could tell you about it here, but it would take 10 minutes. Easier just to go watch the video. But yeah, really cool, really, really trippy, mystical UFO, as is only appropriate. Let's see. Mike says a 3D cube. Oh yeah, we got that one. Hey, John says, "Happy afternoon, Jack. Things are rapidly accelerating. They really are, man. John, I think things are really, really accelerating fast. I think the next year is going to be really amazing. And going forward, I just can't even imagine where we're going to go. If we are going to have some sort of, mass contact event, whether that's another Phoenix Lights or like, Chris Bledsoe thinks the lady might be making a public appearance in Utah in 2027. We could get an actual goddess or higher dimensional being coming to say hello, guys. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I believe in the lady. Oh, Jack, thank you so much. Thank you for keeping the topic alive. More people need to engage with this. Absolutely, Jack, 100%. And I really appreciate the donation. Let's see. Ralph Ellis says, my NDE showed me all this, but people find that pompous. So I stow it and often present it in observations. Yeah, I'm with you there, that Jack. I've had some cool stuff that I'm not. I've shared some stuff on my playlist. My experiences, but there's stuff that I'm not going to talk about. It's just too much, and it would lessen my credibility even less. And there's stuff and even the stuff that I've shared, I feel awkward talking about it. Because if you haven't had those experiences, it's going to sound like you're bragging or like it's hubris you're talking about, and really it's just wanting to share this information. And, you could have these experiences too, Jesus, if you read the Jesus in the Essenes by Dolores Cannon, which is not necessarily the Christian vision of Jesus. It's tied in with Atlantis and UFOs and, reincarnation and stuff. This cool mystic vision of Jesus. But in that, when he was doing all these amazing works, healing and miracles and so on, it wasn't like, look at me, look what I can do. I'm the Son of God. It was, look what you can do, guys. I'm the example for all of you. Look what you can do. And, and there's like people like Chris Bledsoe who are interacting with gods and goddesses. We're just living in a magical world. And, I think that there's really something important about sharing that with people. But, where does the hubris come into it? Where does pride come into it? Where does showing off come into it? It's there's a fine line there. And, like you say, you don't want to be pompous. And I totally get that. And I wrestle with that when I discuss this stuff. And I just don't know where that line is. I don't want to step over the line and be, look at me, but go look at Chris Bledsoe. Look at, all these things that people have been able to experience and interact with, energies and beings and presences. It's just amazing. Because I'm coming from the perspective of a former atheist, materialist, non-believer in UFOs, and to stumble upon this stuff and be able to engage with it. It's just been mind-blowing, literally mind-blowing. And, I want other people to open up to that. If they want to, obviously don't do it if you're not called to do it. But, if you are open for interacting with these energies and these beings and these presences, and, maybe developing things within yourself, then I think that the sky is the limit on what we can do, guys. We are all capable of remote viewing. We are all capable of healing with our hands, of having out of body experiences, with interacting with beings. We are all magical beings, guys. We're all magical beings. It sounds so corny. I would have shot a paintball at myself a few years ago, but yeah, I just I feel like I want to share that with people as much as I can without like turning people off, because some people just they want to stick to the nuts and bolts stuff, and I totally get that. I totally get that. I was there a few years ago. Oki says, after watching TV show Aliens in Alaska, I'm convinced the orbs are like drones. The beings can observe through a faraway place, etc. Yeah, well, absolutely. I'm sure there's drones. There's alien drones. What else could the dragon UFOs be, right? I guess you could say that if it's bigger on the inside, then how small can it be to fit some beings in, right? If a dragon UFO is that big, but it's bigger on the inside, how much bigger on the inside can it be? Is the size on the outside in any way related to the size on the inside, or can it be more or less infinitely big on the inside? Right? Could you get like a little bitty UFO and it's a mile wide inside, or if it's like that big, can it only be that big on the inside or something like that? Or maybe in order to get that bigger on the inside thing, the UFO has to be a certain size on the outside to accommodate the technology. Anyway, good questions, guys. Good questions. But I'm sure there are drones, the UFO drones, and also, of course, beings that were created essentially as drones or workers. So yeah, there's drones, and there's remote viewing and stuff. These beings can do crazy stuff. I have no doubt. Cat's Eye says, I live 3 days a week in the psychonaut realm. Yeah, nice, nice. I am a bit of a psychonaut myself. Ralph says, if you present it raw, it just makes them confused, mad, or assume you have immense ego, even when there is a serious lack of ego. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not saying I don't have an ego, but I want people to be able to do this stuff. We can all heal with our hands, guys. Wouldn't that be cool if we could all do that? All interact with these cool energies and stuff. What an amazing, we could all be Jedi, guys. We could all be Jedi. I think that'd be badass. Graphic Design for Free says there is a theory that the bad in NHI is chased away by good NHI. I'm afraid the C group wants this narrative out, so we don't resist. Yeah, the theory that bad NHI is chased away by good NHI. Yeah, that is a narrative you hear a lot, and you're absolutely right that it's all taken care of. That the good ETs and the good beings, they've got it. They're taking care of us. We don't need to worry. And I would love that to be true. However, it seems like there are ongoing negative experiences that people are having. I haven't heard that negative experiences have stopped. As much as I love to discuss the positive parts of this stuff, I don't have my blinders on. And there is negative stuff that needs to be addressed 100%. There's a totality to this. It's not all one or the other. And sometimes I wonder if it's all the same thing, if it's like good cop and bad cop, all different facets of something else that's one thing. But yeah, absolutely watch out for false narratives. They're out there. The phenomenon gives us false narratives, like where they came from. The Greys have about 6 different origin stories, but all with the same general narrative, all with the same general thrust. We're weak, we're dying, and we need you. But the way they come about that, they arrive at that in different ways. We're from the past, we're from the future, we're you from the future, we're from an alternate timeline, we're aliens, from somewhere other solar system that have integrated with technology too much. We're from the future, we've genetically modified ourselves too much. But all of them, they have to come to Earth hybridize with us to save their dying race. But the way they come about that isn't like 5 or 6 different ways. It's there's obviously BS designed to make us feel better, designed to for us to lower our guard and for us not to be freaked out by them. But obviously that's BS because it's the same narrative thrust with each story. We're weak, we're dying, you have nothing to fear from us, and we need you. Thus, we're not going to hurt you. Which obviously designed to make us feel better. So I mean, I get that, and maybe they feel like they need to say that they need to lie to us to put us at ease. Maybe they don't mean anything nefarious by that. Maybe they do. We just don't know until we have open contact with beings that we can trust. Then it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. Ralph Ellis says I was invited by the Y-Files. He was invited by the Y-Files to present my NDE in their chat. And when I did, one of their mods instantly told me to shut up. Then both mods started arguing. Well, that's unfortunate, Ralph. I'm sorry you had that experience. I love the Y-Files. I wonder why their mods were on you like that. That's weird. I don't get that. Yeah, if you could maybe you explain a little bit more in a different window here, but I'm not saying. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Talk about DMT with Cat's Eyes. Yeah, Cat's Eye says where's Hecklefish? Yeah, I was disappointed in the Y-Files near death experience episode. I mean, parts of it were really good, but in the debunking of it, he really leaned heavily on the debunking part of it, and he really leaned heavily on the idea that it could all be hallucinogens, caused by the dying mind. When that is obviously BS if you've studied near-death experiences in some depth, or even any particular depth, because again, you're brain dead. Your heart has stopped. Your brain is dead. There is no neural activity. There's zero. Your brain is dead. You're not having an hallucination. And some of these people, like I say, are dead for extended periods of time. Some of these guys are dead for half an hour or an hour or more. They should be vegetables when they come back, but they are brought back by beings on the other side and asked to live their life. And some of them are healed of the diseases or the maladies that killed them. They'll wake up from death cancer free. Anyway, so that episode on the Y-Files really annoyed me because he leaned way too much in the debunking, which actually conflicted with any amount of real research. So I just, that was frustrating. So whatever. I love the Y-Files though. Huge fan. Not off the Y-Files train. Chameleon makes its Apophis makes its flyby in 2029. I did a video like about a year or two ago, apocalyptic prophecies and apocalyptic modalities, talking about the various ways the new world could happen, right? The new age that people say are going to happen, the age of Aquarius, etc. Well, many people, I call it apocalyptic modalities, but that's because many people believe that in order for the new world to begin, the old world has to end. And some of those modalities are science-based, like Apophis, if I'm saying that name right. And so that's one of the modalities that is set to happen during that time frame, roughly between like 2026 and 2033 is when all those modalities were having. Ralph wants to know if Cat's Eyes has done DMT exploration. The domain presentation in that sense is quite a bit different in most cases from NDE, but I think it's the same place or a suburb. Well, good idea. I've done DMT a few times, but I haven't had a breakthrough experience. However, I did see the lights. I saw this beautiful mosaic of lights in the distance, and I realized that was the entrance to maybe the fractal realm, which is the entrance to other stuff potentially. So I saw the doorway, guys. I saw the doorway, And it was maybe the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was insane. It was just the colors. It was awesome. But I've got to do it in a different way. I was doing it in the pipe, and the pipe just wasn't working for me. I wasn't able to get enough stuff. I've got to do the vaping. Got to do the vaping. Sadok says, Jack, do you hear a rumor about the aliens reveal themselves in 2027? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've covered that 100%. That is one of the rumors that are out there, and I'm fingers crossed. I mean, assuming it's positive contact and it has a positive change on us. Snedler says, just been a UFO incident in Denmark. Oh, wow. That just happened today or recently. Excuse me. Yeah, let me know, Snedler, about that Denmark incident. I'd love to know about it. Ralph says the dogmen were surrounding a family's house and kind of peering through windows and putting huge hand claws up on the window. It sounded definitely frightening, but like they were confused too. Yeah, that sounds very similar to the Jay Stratton incident. Those were very scary. That was a very scary entity they were interacting with. Raylon says, a good evening from Sweden. Push for disclosure for the sake of humanity. Absolutely. Sail Blue says, Jack, I've never heard you mention Charles James Hall, the guy that says he worked at Dreamland, where the tall whites had an alien embassy in the mountains. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, the reason I don't talk about Charles Hall is he's basically the only one that ever talks about or has ever talked about the tall whites. However, I recently saw that Linda Howe reached out to her audience and was asking them for if they had encounters with the tall whites, trying to get some more evidence for the tall whites. And some people did reach out to her. So, but that's why I haven't talked about Charles Hall, because there's no corroboration for that, or not much. The idea is there were aliens living on a base at Area 51, above ground, not in the dumbs like you sometimes hear about, or the dumb, I guess, that would be under Area 51. And they were kind of living apart, and they were these advanced beings. And don't mess with their kids. If you got between them and their kids, they might rip you apart. They were very, and they thought humans were lesser beings. The tall whites, very interesting. I want to see more corroboration on that, but a fascinating story. Definitely one worth talking about. Nurse Diesel says, keep talking so he doesn't start talking about the mummies. Mummy. LD Martin says, where to report or get tested? For what? Oh, for the ghosts? Oh, that's the idea that the virus. Yeah, see, I'm so far behind your comments. I'm 40 minutes behind your comments, guys. If you want me to see your comments right now, leave a super thanks or a super chat, because I will see it immediately. Let's see, Shalto. Oh, and also members only. Members will pop up in highlighted windows. Jack, how do you interpret synchronicities and coincidences? Do you take them as a form of sign, or do you just accept them as mere coincidence? No, absolutely. I believe in synchronicities. I had one with a buddy of mine just a few months ago. We were sitting eating Chinese food and talking about our childhoods, and come to find out that we're in the College Station area now in Texas, a small town in Texas where A&M is, but we were both from the same suburb of Austin, Westlake, and we lived in the same building. We lived in the same fourplex on the same street. We went to the same high school. Went to the same hamburger place. What are the odds that we in a different city would have lived in the exact same fourplex a few years apart from each other? To me, that is a synchronicity, and that happens. Some people have very startling synchronicities. So 100%, I believe in synchronicity, Charlto, 100%. That the universe is trying to tell us something. Fate is trying to tell us something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that means. Maybe you're on the right path. That's what some people think. Let's see. I don't want to miss your comments. Cat's Eyes says it's the same as my NDE experience. I think Cat's Eyes is talking about DMT. After my NDE, the reason I started taking mushrooms, DMT, ayahuasca, was to mimic the DMT state of my brain during my NDE. And how, so he's saying, uh, when you were had your NDE, it was a DMT like state. That's really interesting. And now you have a scientific method to induce one. Oh, that's so cool, Cat's Eyes. You need to share that with me. I totally want to produce out of body experiences and DMT like experiences. I've been trying to I've had one out of body experience that happened spontaneously. I didn't have anything to do with it, other than experiencing it. Like most of my experiences, that was a granted experience. That was, a gift from somebody. I didn't, like my Kundalini awakening, that was a gift from somebody. I didn't achieve that. It was an amazing experience, but it was a gift. It was a gift. I wasn't sitting on a mountaintop meditating when that happened. But it was insane. It was an amazing experience. Yeah, like being hit by a lightning bolt from God. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. Ralph says it would be hard for China to do that, given their all encompassing authoritarianism. I missed what you were talking about. Francis says, Ralph, anything to cut the grass under USA feet. Okay, I totally missed what y'all are talking about. Ralph says, I had a trip where I met a talking head, but my NDE was incredibly gorgeous and high fidelity. Cool. UFO Arc. Hey, UFO Arc has joined the chat. Was there any outcome from the recent Seoul conference? Well, we have all their videos now, or a lot of their videos, what they deigned to share with us. And some great content in those videos. They are definitely more sober than I would like them to be, and more, not as gung ho about disclosure as I would like them to be. But that's what you get from people on the inside, unfortunately. Francis says, Neutrosis says aliens are real. And Francis says he thinks Trump will do it. You mean disclosure? I mean, whoever does it, somebody needs to do it. Somebody needs to do it, guys. Cat's Eye says, I'm on friendly terms with a mantis being from the DMT realm who helps heal me. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I'm glad to hear of a positive interaction with the mantis being. Most of the interactions with mantis beings that I come across in my research are positive. Occasionally you do get negative ones, but those are pretty rare. From my research. Of course, if they're happening to you, it's, you're not going to be real cheered by that. Catastrophe says synchronicity is a question I've had for a while. Coincidence or not, it only occurred after I saw an orb. Very interesting. I wonder, who was that orb? Was that an alien presence of some sort? Was that a metaphysical presence of some sort? Because there's both, right? Ralph says, Cat's Eyes, good friend to have, very ancient. Okay. Maybe you're talking about Cat's Eyes. Oh, Adam says a skinwalker is a human who performs a ritual snuffing of a loved one. It gives them the ability to transform. Yes, that is what they are said to be. What skinwalkers are. You have to kill somebody in order to be a skinwalker. They are dark forces if they are legit. And then they become evil, shape-changing shamans. They can fly and do all sorts of stuff, apparently. Question, do you think some NHI are solely light plasma beings without physical bodies? Well, it's a great question. I've already talked about that. But yes, I believe that they can be beings from another dimension where light is their body. or at least their light vibrates at a different level, so their bodies are less dense than ours. And as you would move up through the dimensions or the densities, then they would be lighter and lighter, I guess. Cat's Eye said, we were talking a lot about DMT. I love DMT. I don't want to turn people off that aren't DMT people. Cat's Eye says, if you ever visit the DMT realm as often as I do, my advice is you can only trust entities in uniform with a triangle symbol on the chest. They work for the triune. Okay, very intriguing information. Uh, Simon says how serious and reliable Thierry Jamon is in the Nazca Mummy's case. Well, the information I have on Thierry Jamon is not great. He's more of a showman and that kind of thing. He's not like super reliable. That doesn't mean he's faking in any way, but he is, maybe more of a businessman first or something like that. But without him, we wouldn't be having the Nazca Mummy UFO disclosure or whatever we're having. I don't think. You got to give credit where credit is due. He has done a lot of work on this. But is he like 100%? No, I don't think so. Snedler says divers have been in the water and an area was closed off, but nothing was found from what I know. Talking about the Denmark UFO incident that happened recently. I've got to read up on that, guys. That sounds awesome. Okay, I can hear my voice getting kind of scratchy, so I'm probably going to end this in like 10 minutes. So if you have any burning questions, ask him. And if you really want me to see it, because I'm like an hour behind in the chats. If you really want me to see your comments, I'll leave a super chat or a super thanks, even if it's just $1, because I'll see your question right away. Let's see. Cat's Eye Ralph says, what I explained to my spirit family gave me incredibly high level understanding of how these domains work. Apparently, I'm a tinkerer in the upper domain. That term is the best I can go by. Cool, man. Nikki says, I'll try and check out the news. Yeah, me too. About the Denmark UFO. Very neat. Alien Girl 111. Nice. Alien Girl 111 has joined the chat, or did 30 minutes ago, or an hour ago. Yeah. How's it going, Alien Girl? Glad to have you here. Let's see. Sadok says, will you make a new video with Nico again? Yes, absolutely. I'm hoping to get Nico back on the show in the near future. He may have some new information for us with a new witness or two that he is interviewing. But we'll see. We'll see if he's able to secure that interview, and if he is able to secure that interview, if he feels, if that's something that he's able to share publicly. So, but yeah, no, Nico will absolutely be back on the show. Hopefully soon. Ralph says, I sent Jack some info about my NDE, and it's been with Dr. Grayson for a long time. Long story short, it's a simulation, but simulation is incredibly insufficient. I would like to start having near-death experiencers on the show as guests. I don't know how the audience would like that or not. It's more of a UFO channel than a spiritual channel, although I do try to point out the spiritual side of this stuff. Alien Girl says, yes, I think interdimensionals might be more wild than we think. Yeah, I think you're right, Alien Girl. UFO Arc, Jack, any news on Chris Lato? Nothing new. He's taking some time off. So radio silence on Chris's end and his family's end is as far as I know. Ralph says, we cannot comprehend, but my heart goes out to him. I hope he's doing well. I love Chris. And, if he needs a break, just take as long as you need, Chris. Take as long as you need. Ralph says, we cannot comprehend the extension of energy domains the same way a sim from The Sims would find our reality infinitely complex and baffling. Okay, I like that. Cat's Eyes, I've had 2 NDEs, and yes, I've been told this dimension is experimentally set up by a reptiloid race, and another group of good beings called the Triune are trying to save us from it. So that's the prison planet idea. Although even worse than the prison planet is a prison dimension. That sounds dire, Cat's Eyes. That sounds dire. Well, if that's the case, then I hope the Triune do save us. Cat's Eye says, again, I reiterate, never trust an entity unless it bears the triangular symbol of the triune. LOL. Okay. Well, let's see. A Leviathan Rise. Just like crop circles, when people try to make them, they come up short. Let's see. I'm trying to. I want to scroll down to your most recent comments. So I only have a few more minutes. Again, if you want me to see your comment right away, leave a buck, and I'll see your comment right away. Okay, I'm trying to get down to your most recent comments. Check out Eyes on Cinema. The Allagash story EOC posted has me thinking about vibrations affect the mind. Very interesting. Yeah, I think it's all about the vibes, guys. It's all about the vibes. Jim C. Hey, Jim, how's it going? Is it true aliens love to hit the bars? Up and down 6th Street. And yeah, in Austin. Yes, absolutely. You see a lot of aliens in 6th Street. You see a lot of stuff on 6th Street. That's for sure. Oh, Kaz. Okay, Kaz left a super chat. Thank you so much. It's not Kaz. Triton left a super chat. It says CA and then it looked like an S. I can't read, guys. See, it says CA and it looks like an S. You can't see my screen anymore. Sorry. To the best of your knowledge, what did Lou mean by we all need to get a hobby for a few years? What did Lou mean by that? A Triton? Does he mean that he knows there's going to be open contact for a few years? Or does he mean simply that there's going to be UFO disclosure and that we all just need to be patient until that happens? I wish I knew, man. I wish I knew. That is the $10 million question, right? What does Lou know? What does Lou know? It's a great question. You left a super chat, so I wish I could answer it definitively, but without reading Lou's mind, I don't know. Maybe we need to get some remote viewers to pick at his brain. He probably wouldn't like that. Sorry, Lou. I take that back. Don't pick at Lou's brain. Bad remote viewers. But yeah, I don't know what he meant by that. Maybe they could just remote view what he meant by that. Great question. Pete says, at some crash sites, an overwhelming smell of ammonia is reported. Yes, that is true. Also, when people interact with beings in the flesh, sometimes there is a very strong smell either of ammonia or sulfur. Sulfur comes up a lot. Ammonia comes up more in the ships. Is that a product of their technology? Is that a product of their very natures? Does their skin exude some sort of sulfurous smell? Do they leave a lingering ammonia scent in their UFOs? We just don't know. I tend to think the ammonia thing is probably I think the ammonia thing is a technology issue. There's something about their technology issues that smell, and that the sulfur is probably more biological. That some smell they themselves give off. That is my theory on that. Shermanator says best mummies ever. I like that. They are the best mummies ever. Pete says in some crash sites an overwhelming smell. Yeah, we did that one. Power says in Islam, jinn are described as a smokeless fire. Some scholars think this could mean plasma. Totally possible, Power. Totally possible. Or there could be jinn. A lot of these events, whether it's UFO or poltergeist or unclassifiable, there's a trickster-like element, or even a malevolent element. And if skinwalkers are real, why not jinn, guys? Why not jinn? Maybe there's jinn, or maybe jinn are based on something real, some phenomenon or presence or group of presences that fall under that umbrella, right? Maybe the genies, the jinn, are based on something real, just like werewolves. Apparently Apparently, werewolves are based on something real. Chumble, hey Chumbles, how's it going? Chumble says, I once asked a woman when her baby was due. However, she already had the baby months ago. That's when I left my body. That was my out of body experience. Classic Chumbles, classic Chumbles. Yes, I have asked a woman when she was due, and she wasn't pregnant at all, and she hadn't been pregnant. Yeah, yeah. Uh, that was awkward. That was awkward. Catastrophe says, I've heard it can either make or break your mind, either provide yourself with divine understanding or end up in a corner street in a pot on your head screaming about the end. Is that disclosure? Is that interactions with beings? I may have missed what you were talking about. Was it the Kundalini awakening? Joe says, my mother in 79 saw a UFO 40 feet away. It was a saucer with windows around it. She saw it pulling up to a red light after work. Two tall whites started walking toward in 20 minutes passing. So she had missing time in association with this interaction with the tall whites. Fascinating, Joe. Thank you so much for sharing. Sub 404 says, hi, Jack. Cheers from Brazil. Hey, cheers. Question: if the Virginia case had U.S. participation, wouldn't it be possible to FOIA it? Some related document. Can we help somehow? Theoretically, it would be FOIA-able if it, wasn't prevented by national security or if they hadn't found a way to conceal it. They have ways to conceal. They'll have an in-person meeting sometimes so that there's no paperwork, so they don't have to, so it's not FOIA-able, or they'll say it's national security. But yeah, theoretically, if it were in the U.S., it would be FOIA-able. Speaking of FOIA-able, what about the Miami Mall incident? Is there anybody FOIA-ing the police body cams of that incident? What the hell happened to Miami? Shalto says DMT or ayahuasca would probably send me round the bend. It's possible. It's possible. Different medication or medicine or whatever can have different. People have had negative experience with some stuff, but in general, for most people, I wouldn't think so. Craig says Westgate or Westlake? Westlake. Yeah, I was the poor kid in Westlake. Westlake is a wealthy suburb, and we were not wealthy. And my buddy was in the same boat because we lived in the same building. Yeah. So, but it was a great school system, the Eanes school system, very good schools. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. Drew says, why is working evidence so hard to find? Of UFOs? There's a lot of evidence for UFOs. I may have missed what you were talking about. Catastrophe says, Shalto, yeah, wish I could just be told exactly where to go. Makes me consider DMT just so I could dive deeper into the sea of reality. I like that. Shalto says, yeah. Yes, catastrophe. Same here. I used to think they meant I was where I was supposed to be, but I get synchronicities when things seem to be going well and not well. So, okay, very good, very good. All right, just another couple of minutes, guys. If you really have a burning question or comment, do a super thanks or a super chat, and I will see it right away. I will give you all guys like 2 minutes, 2-minute warning. Last call. Pete says, speaking of Islam, don't they mean up and walk clockwise around a black cube? Black cube are in recent reports, right? Yeah, man. And now, yeah, that's, yeah, absolutely. Who knows if those are related? It could be. But, just about the black cube. Now that I'm into all the metaphysical and the spiritual and the energy stuff, can you imagine the energy around that structure and in that plaza? Whew, man, that place must be massively energetic. Wow. I can maybe one of the most energetic places on earth. Uh, Spiruish says, "Do alien craft have toilets?" Well, that is the burning question. No one ever seems to pee when they end up on a craft. Just curious. Great questions. I would say I will let you know, but I do not want to get abducted. So, although I wouldn't mind a pleasant joyride or a pleasant tour around the dimensions. Yeah. So, Nature Boy says, do you think in the future NHI and humans will procreate together? Well, apparently they're doing it now, Nature Boy. Apparently they're doing it now. Catastrophe says, is there anything that helps with meditation? Certain sounds, any YouTube channels you recommend? Well, whatever floats your boat, whatever resonates with you. There's 1,000 meditation or, channels, and there's probably more than 1,000. And, just 1,000 meditation aids and different things work for different people. And I would tell you one thing, but like I have another buddy that is really into meditation. In fact, he's a meditation coach now. And his form of meditation is breathing techniques. He loves breathing techniques, and that's with no music, no mantras, nothing, just breathing. And that's how he meditates. And that resonates very powerfully with him, and that works very well for him. Me, I like some mantras. I like some arm movements. Yeah, anything to distract my monkey mind. I can't give you advice on that. Just whatever resonates with you. Graphic design for free says, any thoughts on the Anunnaki? Well, I mean, I definitely think there's some there. I don't know what the reality behind the Anunnaki is. I don't know if they created us as a slave, race to mine gold. I don't think so. But I wasn't there. Maybe I was there in a past life. But yeah, I think that there's enough evidence to the Anunnaki that where there's enough smoke, there's fire. So I tend to think there's something to that. I think the Anunnaki, in some fashion, were real. But what was that fashion? I just don't know. Jan says, I'm sure Greys are from the future and they try to correct their genetic things. Yeah, I just talked about that a few minutes ago. The different narratives there are that they have given for their origin story. Shalto says, try forest meditation. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Very good idea. Let's see. Sunny Shore says, what was your own UAP experience like, Patrick? Oh, I miss Patrick talking about that. I'm so far behind or ahead of your comment. Good talk, Jack. You made my day. Thank you so much, Soduk. And I guess that's probably a good note to end on. Okay, Ross Acker, I highly recommend watching the Soul Foundation videos, such as the physics of UAP. Yeah, some great stuff in there. And I'm so glad they finally dropped those videos. But thank you guys for joining me today. It was a lot of fun. I hope you got something out of it. Please hit like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Jack with Cosmic Road signing out. Have a great day, guys.